We begin today with the American journalist Jake Hess, who was arrested in Turkey nearly 2 weeks ago and deported back to the United States over the weekend. Jake Hess is 25 years old. He's a freelance journalist from New Hampshire who'd been based in the predominantly Kurdish part of southeastern Turkey for nearly 2 years. He wrote for Interpress Service. On August 11th, he was arrested in the mainly Kurdish city of Diyarbakir and spent 4 days at the headquarters of the city's anti-terrorist unit before being transferred to a pre-deportation unit. Turkey accused him of allegedly having ties with the banned Kurdistan Workers Party, or PKK, which Turkey and the United States classify as a terrorist organization. But Hess and his lawyer have maintained that Hess was targeted because of his writings. His recent articles for Interpress Service have focused on Turkish soldiers deliberately starting forest fires, the depopulation of Kurdish villages, and Turkish-Iranian airstrikes on Kurdish homes in northern Iraq. His arrest by Turkish authorities was condemned by the Committee to Protect Journalists and Reporters Without Borders. American diplomats say Hess rejected their offer of assistance after he was taken into custody. He later told CNN it would be hypocritical of him to accept U.S. help given U.S. support for the Turkish policy of criminalizing Kurdish activists, he said. Hess was arrested at a time of increased clashes between Turkey and the PKK, which canceled a 14-month ceasefire in June. The 26-year-old insurgency in southeastern Turkey has killed some 40,000 people. Jake Hess joins us now from Boston for his first broadcast interview since being deported back to the United States. Jake, welcome to Democracy Now! Tell us about the day you were arrested. What happened?
Well, basically, I was in Diyarbakir, as you mentioned. I was translating for a German journalist named Benjamin Hiller. And at about 6 o'clock in the evening, the anti-terror police knocked on our door and presented me with a search warrant and an arrest warrant, saying that I had ties with the PKK, as you mentioned. And after that, I was taken to the police station, the anti-terror section of the Diyarbakir police station, and held for 4 days. And basically, my interrogation focused on the articles I had written for IPS and my relationships with human rights organizations, including the Human Rights Association of Turkey and the London-based Kurdish Human Rights Project.
Talk about where you were held.
It was basically a small prison-like cell with a bed, but no blanket or pillow, and with no opportunity to interact with other prisoners. But I don't want to complain too much. It wasn't abysmal, but it wasn't luxurious either.
And talk about the questions that you were asked. Who interrogated you?
Well, I was interrogated by maybe 10 or 15 civil police officers, and basically they asked me why I had written about things like torture or violence against Kurdish women, or the Turkish army's use of forest fires as a tool of counterinsurgency. They claimed that the things I had written were inaccurate, and they accused me of waging a smear campaign against the Turkish Republic, and also asserted that my writings had negatively impacted Turkey's international image. And I had recently been to northern Iraq to interview the PKK as a journalist, but surprisingly they did not ask me at all about that trip. And as I said, they asked me why I had relations with human rights groups both in Turkey and in London, and why I had collected signatures to support the release of Mr. Muharrem Erbey, who is the chairman of the Diyarbakir office of the Turkish Human Rights Association, and other such things. Basically, I was asked only about my writings and about perfectly legal human rights organizations.
Can you describe the situation in Turkey and in Kurdistan, and why you've become so interested in the plight of the Kurdish people?
Well, as you said in the introduction, now clashes are increasing between the Turkish government and the PKK. Certainly, conditions aren't as bad as they were in the 1990s when the Turkish government destroyed about 3,500 Kurdish villages, leading to the displacement of between 2 and 3 million Kurdish people, and in addition to that, carried out thousands of extrajudicial killings of Kurdish political activists and human rights defenders. But certainly, human rights abuses are continuing at a very disturbing level. And recently the PKK has declared a ceasefire and offered proposals for making a political process happen. But unfortunately the Turkish government has not recognized their ceasefire or any of their previous ceasefires. and military operations are continuing, and news of death is still coming every day.
Can you talk, Jake Hess, about why you refused U.S. consular help?
Well, I think, as you said, it would be hypocritical for the United States to extend me support while at the same time encouraging Turkey to use military means to solve this issue, and also supporting Turkey's policy of annihilating Kurdish political activists through mass arrests and criminalization. And similarly, it would probably be hypocritical of me to accept their help after spending so much time denouncing their policies in Turkey and elsewhere.
And can you talk about, in particular, the two people that the Turkish authorities who were interrogating you were interested in? Who are they, and what do they do?
One of them was Mr. Muharrem Erbey, who is a prominent human rights lawyer in Turkey and the chairperson of the Diyarbakir branch of the Human Rights Association of Turkey. Most of his work in recent years has focused on getting to the bottom of unresolved cases of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, and his efforts have led to the discovery of several mass graves filled with victims of human rights abuses, and he's played a major role in keeping this issue on the public agenda. He was arrested on 24th December 2009, and he's been held in custody since then. The indictment against him has just been produced. It numbers about 100 pages, and to support the allegation that he is a member of a terrorist organization and a foreign affairs officer for a terrorist organization, namely the PKK, as the Turkish government says. They discuss his various activities, including his writing of human rights reports, his participation in press statements, his entry of political lawsuits on behalf of victims of human rights abuses, and even the work that we did together to raise international awareness of the human rights situation in southeastern Turkey is presented as evidence. And the police asked me extensively about my relationship with Muharrem.